All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. Hey, really quickly, I just want to give a special shout out to my dad. He literally watches every single one of these, has no idea what any of this means, but I love him so much, and I'm very grateful for it. All right, so look, today was a very good day, right? I was torn between starting with CGC or Tilray. I generally start with Tilray, right? But I mean, CGC has done what we're hoping this does, right? Breaking the moving averages. Oof. And then look at what happened, right? I'm going to talk about the red candles. Obviously, you know that, right? But Tilray, today was an important day, man. It holds the 20. It keeps. I'm getting into it. You can tell I'm excited to, right? But we're gonna look at the normal ones. If it doesn't go too long, I'll try to throw in some of the US tickers as well, right? But CGC, Tilray, Sandal, SNDL, and then High Tide is the plan here, all right? But before we go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can please subscribe to this channel, share this video all over the place, comment good or bad, even if you disagree. I'm telling you, it all really does help with the YouTube algorithms, but for real, just being here, giving me your time, I am so grateful for all of it, all right? So, look, Tilray, okay? I know it doesn't look as strong as CGC for a few obvious reasons, right? But today was an important candle, all right? Look, we have been heading down. We actually lose the 8 moving average, but you always hear me say it. These two will work together when they're your friends, or man, they'll just continue to keep you down together when they're your enemies, right? And it smelled a little bullish. It really did. You know what I mean? And so far, it's not giving up. It actually holds the 20, gets us back over, and actually more than anything, gets us over that 50 moving average, right? So today wasn't the biggest of percentages, but that's a really big candle in my eyes right there, all right? Obviously, we are physically over these two lines, but I need some real big confirmation. Oh, I got to close my door. Give me 1 second. My wife just got home. Dun, 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 dun. You know, that's normally a cat thing right there, but that's the bigger boss between those, all right? So look, back to where I was. Again, not the biggest of candles, not the biggest of percents, but I'm telling you, this is a big thing in my eyes. What I'm really looking for is essentially a, man, 198 at the lowest. I don't think we can take anything lower. Right? Because what are you at? 197. Nah. 197's on the border. Again, I think I would rather 198. What's that $2 line at? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lower that to the line. I think that's our new line. That's, I think, our new money line right there. Look, if we can, sorry to zoom in and out. I hate doing that so much. If we can get over that, we're going to want to get to there. We are. You know what I mean? Just red, green, red, green, red. Like you see it, right? A whole mess of red, right? Just that could be a real nice move. And again, I'm going to get to it shortly, right? But CGC breaking multiple lines, CGC working its way on up. Ideally, Tilly goes on up. Look, you heard, I know I said it on the last video, as excited as I was, this 50 moving average, we haven't touched it in a minute. It's been more than a solid 2 months, right? So you can't underestimate it. This was the first one. I'm glad we're right back at it. Make me believe, break this thing, and yeah, I think we're going to want to head to here. So we are finally at a positive MACD. All right, it does look like it's not as beautiful a divergence as I'd like. Again, divergence, just fancy word for the two lines going away from each other, right? But it's parallel. I'll at least say that, and I still see this kind of going up. I'm happy with that, right? I think RSI can give us a little more, and hey, this isn't too bad. We're now, and again, I remember talking about this, volume average was way too high. It started to live in the 30s because of these couple outliers, right? As the outliers went away, we were nowhere near that line. All of a sudden, it's back to reality. It's back to a place where we can start breaking that 50. Volume is king, all right? I know it's at the bottom of these three, but that doesn't mean it's the lowest of these three. You know what I mean? So nice number of green days over the 50. Give me a couple monster ones. We know it knows how to do it, right? So just a little more confirmation, I think, is what we need here, right here. Where are we on the weekly? Ooh. That's a really, I like that. Hold on, let me make sure there's nothing, yeah, that makes sense. Because we went all the way up here, we went all the way down there, we're basically there. That's a cool, okay. We have been well under the 8 moving average. What is this? Physically since late September. I mean, that was the last real good candle, right? In early, because that's a doji, we're now under and holding, right? So you can argue all of September, all of October, all of November, we've been under that 8 line. We get over it, and though we don't confirm, man, that's an interesting doji that makes me think next week is going to be pretty big. That right there lines up pretty well with half of that. Like, break that, I think we're going to want to come here again. There's also a real good chance that it rejects, but again, I think I'm hoping that the CGC strength will help us here. So again, for me, it's all about the 50 line, right? Like this has been a technical move for me. I know there's been a couple headlines here, couple headlines there. There is nothing more than a technical thing. And man, I'll be real honest with you. Obviously, it's not really that big, and I'm not gonna like draw it and hold it, but like, hey, there's a little bit of a baby. Like I'm glad we didn't come back to this all-time low number, because it's easier to see on the weekly. There's nothing under this, right? My weed sector pessimistic back monkey in the shoulder thing got me a little worried. I can't even pretend it, right? Like, especially when I saw that candle and it kind of went through the sector, like, you know, but so far we've avoided the line. We're actually still kind of breaking lines. Again, CGC strength, I'll get to that in a second. So I'm liking things, you know what I mean? I've maintained this bullishness. And I literally said it on the Discord like a minute ago, if I'm not mistaken. Like Tilray small candle, big day, I still think it holds, right? Weed bullishness. So yeah, we got to break this line, make me believe, and then we're heading on up. So lovely. Let's come into CGC. And again, it was really hard to not talk about this one. All right. And I really wanted to start with this one first because, man, that is loveliness, right? Like just a sea of red, breaking 4 out of the 5 lines. You're going to want to head to the 5th, right? And that's what it does. And look, I say it on the way up and I say it on the way down. You can't let one crazy candle influence you too hard. All right. And I can't even pretend. I made a video on this day and or maybe the day after. I really don't even remember. Right. But there was a lot of, okay, you know, it's shaky, but the sector, like this sucked across the sector this Tuesday. Right. This was on Tuesday. You gotta wait for confirmations, and doji doesn't count, man. Doji doesn't count, but back to back, we finally get the truth, right? So I'm seeing this go up. I'm seeing this go up. It's hard to imagine this ain't coming here, and you can see it. That 200 line, the 93, 95, whatever you want to call it. That's essentially right before we gap into this, right? So, the weekly, does it look good? Oh man. I like it. CGC's looking real strong. It is, actually. It is. Because end of the day, it's not a monster move, but that's a break of 2 lines, and that's how you confirm it. And when you do that on the weekly, it's hard to imagine we're not at least going to come here 94 cents. That's exactly where what we just called the 200, right? I think it was 93. Yeah, you can see the 93 right there, right? So this should keep coming here. Volume still hasn't even crushed it yet. And again, the same comments the line went from up here to a very healthy down here. And man, so many people have been buying and holding this last week and a half. This little thing was the only real sell-off. Otherwise, yeah, and we've more than made up for it the last 3 days, right? You can almost say on these last 2 doji days, people kind of were like, "Oh, maybe let me buy back," right? So, interesting here. Again, still a lot to like on the daily. Still a lot to like on the week. On the weekly. That's a beautiful thing. And again, obviously, if we can smash this, oh man, the next 2 lines are basically a buck and a buck 66, right? And again, in that is nothing more than, again, red, green, and you know, there's nothing outside of that. Like these are 2 real nice lines if we can get to them. There's almost a little part of me that wants to lower this thing to here. There really is. I guess at that point though, that's essentially what this is. So let me, and there's a little bit of a horizontal here. I guess I'll keep this line. I think this should smash. I'm gonna raise it, I think, to that is what I do think. Yeah, look, it actually hits the top of that. I basically was looking for half of this. It actually hit the top of this. I don't think this is gonna hold at all, actually. I think if we get over why am I getting my numbers wrong? If we get over the purple line, the 200, I think it'll smash the 200 and just get to here. I think that would probably be the first resistance. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe this will stop us and I'll look back at this and say oopsies. But either way, right? CGC seems like if it does what it's supposed to do, right, and like gets actually over this, and don't underestimate the ease of the break. I know I'm getting a little bit overly confident, and hey, we've at least hit it right there a little bit. We've hit it right there a little bit. It's not like it's like a brand new line, but hey, it's been a really long time. It's been years, full actual years that we've been under that purple line, right? So don't underestimate that, but man, there's a lot of recovery to be made if it happens. And yeah, I think a buck 30 isn't out of the realm of realistic if we can get over that. All right. Yeah, like I said, I like the daily. I like the weekly. This is getting really close to a positive MACD. Volume's picking up. Yeah, again, there's a lot to like on these 2, right? So let's make our way into SNDL. Okay. This is a little frustrating, right? Because I for sure started to get a little excited that we were actually about to start getting out of the moving averages and work our way through, right? The funny thing is I had combined CGC and Sandal comments for what? I mean, a while, right? Because even this guy was trapped in roughly 2 down here, 2 here, right? But the fact that CGC got through and this didn't, a little bit of me, I at least call out the volume, right? Like this thing's what's your highest day? 4 million, right? When you look at CGC, it's basically 10x it, right? Its lowest day in that same window was 25 million, right? It was 5x, right? So volume's important, all right? There was someone in the YouTube comments that disagreed with me that Tilray's the king. I obviously have CGC as number 2. They said SNDL should be like the main one. Again, I'm not here to disagree or argue, right? Like we're talking opinions at this point, right? Like there's no real facts in what I'm saying either, right? Just it is my opinion, but I think the reason why SNDL isn't it now, and I say isn't it now because hey, I remember when it was crazy. I do. So I know it has it in its back pocket, right? But yeah, that was a long time ago. And this thing is definitely a little bit lower on the volume levels comparatively. So that's a little bit of the reason. Nonetheless, I digress just a little bit, but hopefully there was some value to that to you. I'm surprised the moving averages stopped it here. The volume is my best justification for it. Because again, I firmly believe in sector strength. I firmly believe that if the big boy and big girl tickers are going up, the little boy and little girl tickers will go up as well, right? So to see one of them, to see CGC smash them all, it's a bit interesting. Now, another difference here is actually that all 5 are down here, right? So with CGC, there were only 4, and then obviously I was saying we're marching up to the 5th one. Here, we actually have all of them, all right? Now, the one thing sorry, zoomed in too much. The one thing I'd been talking about was like the spacing of the lines. Hopefully, we can attack this one first, then attack this one, then attack that one. That's still kind of happening. You know what I mean? So the last kind of connection, it's reminding me a little bit of the Tilray 50 moving average attack, for lack of words. So maybe if Tilray breaks that same 50 average, maybe SNDL will mimic, all right? But yeah, overall, little surprise, because again, I've literally been bundling CGC and SNDL for, like I said, weeks, right? So the fact that one made the move and the other one didn't is a little bit on the odd side to me. This weekly, I think, speaks volumes as well. Just doji after doji after doji after doji, right? Like, obviously, we're physically over that 8 line, but none of these candles count. None of them do, right? Like, I need full candles so I can know what the sentiment, what the market's reaction really is. You know what I mean? So, overall, doesn't seem like a lot of people are holding much, is at least what this volume bar down here is telling me. So, yeah, interesting though. I gotta say that I'm a little surprised. I would say in the last 4 days, especially, I at least gave you my best answers for why. Let me know if there was any SNDL specific news. I just, like I said, that's an interesting one to me. It actually is. Not that high. Boom. Okay. So, okay, few things on my mind. Obviously, the first reason I said the okay like 17 times, I do see the lines. We're definitely over all 5. I'm seeing this 8 moving average go up. Like, that's always my immediate like flag, right? Like, over them, under them, where are we with them, right? The one thing I do remember, and I see it, and I'm zooming out, and I'm going to repeat the words. Look, we are, and again, this is not like a technical, fancy, specific term. Again, it just means the most to me, and I hope we are in a cluster of all 5 moving averages, and the cluster is now moving horizontally, and I call that a horizontal cluster of moving averages. That's where that came from, right? When 3 of them, I'll call that a cluster. 4 of them cluster. Obviously, all 5 is the tightest and biggest of the clusters, right? And what happens is you fall down, you go up, you fall down, you go up, you come down, you go up, and you do this like tornado up and down. That's like, it's a little frustrating at times, right? So, you know, it's funny because I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, all right, so that got over them. Those didn't confirm. That stayed over it. That actually might have been a confirm. But look, end of the day, excuse me, I need a really, really big, like this right here in a normal situation would have been lost all the moving averages, confirmed it, we're heading down. Instead, the tornado decides to bring it back up, right? So as much as this would look like confirmation up on any other given, any other, even on this stock in any other moment, right? Like, you got to respect when all 5 lines are here. And again, lines that are looking like they're going up will very quickly come back down. Like that's what the tornado does. It just does a lot of up and down, all right? So I need a little bit more. I do. I just need a little bit more to believe that we're going up. Yeah, I need that. I need like half of that is basically what I'm trying to say. Like 175 at that, because that's also the bottom of this, it looks like. Yeah, for sure. 174, 175. I think your money line is 176. I think if you can get into 176, man, you might even want to just wait till that breaks. 179. Because again, I'm seeing some wick fake outs. I don't know if that's going to end up being a wick fake out. Nonetheless, like I said, I too many moving averages, moving horizontally, tornado up and down. You need to believe you've escaped. Otherwise, the power of the tornado, man, it'll suck you back in when you least expect it. All right. So, look, I am still overall, but you know what? Let me look at the let me just look at the U.S. stocks real quick. Curaleaf. Okay. Oh, I'm surprised this didn't go up a little bit more. It wicked pretty high, actually. Damn. No, just under that. You didn't hit that? No. You at least for sure got that. It wicked pretty high. Interesting. I'm surprised it didn't, because that looks like a good break. I guess you could say, again, there's 5 moving averages here. But that's all right. Interesting. Where is MSOS? I imagine it'll look roughly the same. Yeah, again, I'm surprised because that's not a bad candle. Doji that, like, interesting. All right. And then, yeah, true. Oh, I did spell it wrong last time. Oh, this one at least looks a little better. This one kind of reminds me a little bit of CGC, actually, where it's kind of actually breaking and going. It's funny because I think Alicia said that this one actually has some really bad news to it, right? But again, you know me, I don't really care much about the news, actually, right? So, interesting to see this one a little bit off from MSOS. Wasn't looking like this, right? No, yeah. All right, interesting. I sped through that a little bit. I don't know if that was really worth putting or not. Happens, right? Hey, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Otherwise, as always, thank you.